How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to episode 37 of Free Thoughts from Freedom Chiropractic and Rehab. Thanks for joining us. If you happen to stumble across this video or someone shared it with you, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a vid. This week's quote of the week comes from an unknown source. It says, "Rest and recovery are just as important as training. Your body heals when you give it time." We all know how important training is in terms of extending our health span. We know that it's one of those things that we have to make time for. But what we don't talk about is as we mature, we'll call it that, but as we age, we don't recover as quickly as we did when we were younger. So back then we could do tougher workouts and recover in a shorter period of time. We could also get by on less sleep. We could get by on less water. We could eat that extra slice of pizza, whatever the case may be. We just don't recover the way that we did. What that means to me is that we need to prioritize that recovery a little bit more. Okay, let's talk about health. Quick question before we start. How many of you actually did the 4 flights of stairs test? How were your results? If you remember, last week we talked about the first test that Michael Easter discussed on those fitness longevity tests that he talked about in his newsletter. That test was how fast can you climb 4 flights of stairs. This week, instead of talking about how fast we can do something, we're going to talk about how fast we can recover from something. This test is very simple. You're going to do an exercise that will get your heart rate elevated. And then what you're going to do is measure your heart rate. Then you will wait 1 minute and check your heart rate again. Now, the Cleveland Clinic suggests that anything over a drop in 18 beats per minute is good. Michael Easter says anything under 12 beats per minute reveals an increased risk of mortality. So this is a really good test. Do something that gets your heart rate up. Don't really care what it is. Just do something that gets your heart rate up, and then take a look at your watch, check your heart rate, and then a minute later, check it again. Let's see what kind of changes you get. Like we said, Cleveland Clinic says anything over 18 beats per minute, a reduction of 18 beats per minute, is good. Michael Easter said anything under 12 beats per minute is an indication that you may have an increased risk of mortality. Quick and simple test. Next time you get your heart rate up, measure how long it takes for it to go down. Okay, now it's time for some good news. This week I want to share the story that I saw on a reel on Facebook. It's from Irene's Entropy. This woman was asked to participate in her friend's 25th wedding anniversary party. She's a musician. She was one of 3 bands that was going to play that day, 3 musical acts. As the first musical act was playing, they noticed that their neighbors, who they hadn't been able to communicate with about the party, was setting up a band in their backyard. See, there was a language barrier. But luckily, Irene's Entropy, she went across and she spoke to them because she's fluent in Spanish. What she found out is that they had a band playing because it was their daughter's quinceañera. So we have 2 dueling parties that are now going to have dueling music. What's the solution? Instead of getting upset with one another, instead of arguing about whose music was going to play and whatnot, what they did was their act played 2 songs, and then their neighbor's act played 2 songs. And then they went back and forth with one another. And at the end, they played a song together. This is a great way for us to see that cultures can come together. We can work together. We can make the world a better place by just, recognizing our differences, but then enjoying those differences. So when I think of this story, it reminds me of the quote that's on my phone right now. It's from Ted Lasso. And he said, "Be curious, not judgmental. Rather than causing a problem, let's look for solutions."